What is up, everybody? Appreciate you for tuning in to On the Ball podcast. We're back with another episode. Have some, I guess, have some things to talk about. NBA season's winding down. We have just a couple of days left. Season, I believe, ends on Sunday. The play-in tournament starts next Tuesday. So, yeah, lots still to be decided. But we're going to talk about some of the NBA awards again. Then NFL, we're getting into voluntary workouts, talk a little about that. But we're going to start with the Angel Reese trade that happened today. Kind of a big deal. But before we get into that, got with me, not guarding the two, guarding the three. Brett, how you doing?
I am doing great. It's going to be a great day. It's a great day to talk sports. Always got to love it when a big trade happens. NBA season, we're about to get to the playoffs. So, like I said, it's a good time. It's a good time to be a sports fan.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I said, we'll start with the Angel Reese deal. She was traded to the Atlanta Dream for a couple of first round picks. And, free agency got underway today in the WNBA. They made that agreement Sunday night. Free agency started today because we all know the WNBA schedule is very much truncated, where you got the draft next week. So there's a lot that's about to happen before the season gets underway early May. When you saw the trade, what were your initial thoughts now that Angel Reese is part of the Atlanta Dream?
Confusing. And the funny part is, right? Here's the confusing part to me. It's not the fact that they traded Angel Reese because if you can get max value out of a player you don't think is let like I don't know if they looked forward and said, "Hey, I don't know if we can build around her and just keep building like this in general." But if you don't think you can build around a player to win a title, okay, you should probably sell high on him, as painful as it might be sometimes. And Angel Reese does have value. That value just is not with the Chicago Sky. Now, putting her on a team in Atlanta, who is a very high volume, 3-point shooting team, this probably works. You're surrounding her with shooters. 3-point shots a lot of the times lead to more variance, and getting someone like Angel who can get down there and control the boards and start collecting some offensive rebounds for them. I think it's going to be great. So overall, I think it's a interesting trade. It almost does feel like that maybe this guy. It's confusing also because they traded all their picks in the couple of picks in the expansion draft to make sure that the expansion teams didn't touch any of their players just to turn around and do this. So, like I said, overall, it's confusing from the Sky's perspective. Like, I get it, but at the same time, if you were going to do this, why are you trading picks to make sure your roster doesn't get touched? Like, at this point, just full commit to the rebuild and renovation around. I'm imagining Camilla Cardosa.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. That's because when they made those moves to not have anybody touched off their roster in the expansion draft, we kind of were looking at that as they were protecting themselves with their talent that they had. Even though, like you said, the team has been kind of underwhelming. We saw the challenges with Angel Reese and Camila Cardosa on the court together. It seemed like they were trying to operate in the same spaces, which led to them using Angel as a point forward, which was a bit of a disaster. So yeah, like I said, she's now in Atlanta, where Atlanta does have some free agents to sign because they need to sign Alicia Gray, Ryan Howard, Nas Hillman, Brittany Griner's a free agent, Brianna Jones is a free agent. So we'll have to see who the Atlanta Dream actually decide to re-sign, and if they sign any new players in free agency, and what the roster looks like around Angel. But it seems like it is a better fit for her in Atlanta. And for Chicago, I guess maybe they're looking at it as taking Angel away, where you get your two first round picks, now maybe you can get a little bit more out of Camila Cardosa, who, look, a lot of times she looks like she just isn't a part of whatever they're trying to run offensively. Like she's kind of just aimlessly looking for like a pick to set or something like that. And maybe with this now she'll be more of like a low post presence or whatever. We'll once again we'll have to see what it looks like once the games are actually being played. But yeah, I feel like, I don't know. Atlanta, you feel like it could work. Chicago, we'll see what they do with the 2 picks. I Until we see the players that they get, we probably can't fully judge the trade. But you get 2 first-round picks, can't necessarily be mad about that. So I guess looking at it, if you were to grade out the trade, what grade would you give, I guess, the fit in Atlanta? I know you said you were confused on Chicago's side, and I get that, but looking at it from Atlanta's side, grade the trade for them.
Like I said, I think it's a fun fit for the say for Atlanta. Like I said, this is a team that like you just mentioned, there have quite a few free agents, going out. At least getting Angel Reese, you can control the boards. Like I said, you have a play style which is a lot of 3-point shooting, which of course it's going to lead to a lot of variance. Angel can help control some of that, so they can give her, give Atlanta an interior presence on the inside. So, like I said, I do think it's a fine risk to take if you're Atlanta, because let's be real, those picks are going to be late first. And a lot of the times in the WNBA, your late first round picks don't even make the roster. So overall, I think it's a good trade for Atlanta. Like I said, I'd definitely give it like an A for Atlanta. Chicago, I like it from the perspective of you made the hard choice, and I think that's okay. But after the expansion draft stuff, I get like
Right.
I kind of like it, but I'm also just confused by it. So we'll see how they figure it out, going into the future.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I guess it was just a quick pivot to, you know, protecting from the expansion draft to then trading her off and, losing picks for the draft. And yeah, it was just crazy. If you're Atlanta, does the Angel Reese acquisition, I guess, make it more likely that you let Brittany Griner go in free agency?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it feels like, right? Like
Yeah.
you can bring them both, but Griner isn't somebody who has a ton of range. I don't really think she has that much of any. Angel Reese doesn't have a ton of range on your, offensively speaking. So I think if you could try to bring him back, but then I think you're just running into a scenario where, guess what? Now you're just running a lineup with 3 bigs and kind of killing your whole play style, which is predicated on 3-point shooting.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think for the dream, Alicia Gray probably seems like an obvious try to re-sign. I think Ryan Howard is definitely somebody you try to re-sign. Brianna Jones, I like her game. I think she could be somebody who would be a good big for them to retain as well. And I know Nas Hillman. So yeah, Atlanta's got some work to do. They got this new money now, so we'll see how they try to utilize it and everything like that. But yeah, Reese is now part of the dream, and cool. Also, sticking with the WNBA, I don't know if didn't get your thoughts on this. Houston Comets are coming back. What do you think about that?
It sucks for the people of Connecticut, but I love it. I think that's kind of a perfect franchise to bring back. Say, if we're being honest, like it's just a very historic franchise that I don't think ever should have, left in the first place in all reality. But, things happen. And at the end of the day, I'm really glad to see the Comet back. So we'll be, like I said, it'll be nice to see. It'll be exciting to see them, added to the fold next year, even though I guess they technically aren't.
Yeah.
They'll just be Connecticut. But like I said, it's a good one. I do love seeing Houston back in the fold.
Yeah. Plus, according to KD, people in Connecticut will be okay because they have UConn basketball to watch.
The
I was like, Katie, just don't. Like, you're the last person I need to hear from. But it will be weird, not having women's basketball up in that region where the UConn fan base obviously supported the Connecticut Sun, as much as they could. But I understand it. Playing in Uncasville, Connecticut, one of I believe the smallest market in the league. When you're now moving to Houston, which is a much bigger market, makes a lot of sense. And like I said, the Houston Comets were the first dynasty when the league was created. You're bringing that back. You're looking at the future expansion. It's like they're going back to Detroit, back to Charlotte. So they're kind of going back to some of the places that helped kind of establish the league before, but new money now. So it makes it more feasible, I guess, to go back to those locations. And at some point, Boston will get a team, obviously. So, all right. So, got WNBA. Let's go to NBA. Like I said at the top, season ends Sunday. Still a few things to decide standings wise. In the East, it's basically like who are going to be the last two teams in the top six. Atlanta seems pretty safe. And then it's like Philly or Charlotte or Philly or Toronto or whatever to fight for that sixth spot. Out west, it's Minnesota or Phoenix for the sixth spot. Everything else has kind of been, pretty much decided. The awards, though, I feel like this is where the intrigue's going to come at the end of the regular season before we obviously get the announcements. And the first award we're going to talk about, Rookie of the Year. Obviously, it's only down to Con Knuppel and Cooper Flagg. Who do you have winning it, and has your opinion changed? I believe the last time we talked about this was a couple of weeks ago, and I believe you were picking Cooper Flagg. Are you still picking Cooper Flagg?
No. Okay. No, I'm fully on board the whole Con Knuppel train at this point. Now, I think what people do need to understand that all because you win Rookie of the Year doesn't mean you're the better player, right? And I think people are getting that really confused because I see people getting so offended almost to a point that it's going to be Con Knuppel and not Cooper Flagg. Like, you can lose out on Rookie of the Year. Like, let me put it this way. If you gave me the choice in a redraft to draft either Con or Cooper Flagg, I still think Cooper Flagg is the right choice. But at the end of the day, Con Knuppel, you just can't take it away from him at this point. Absolutely historic season, helping lead a massive turnaround of the Hornets.
Mm-hmm.
So just overall, I'm fully on board the Con Knuppel Rookie of the Year train.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think it's intriguing. I wonder if what Cooper's been kind of doing the last week or so might help him. And I was one of those who was big on Con Knuppel before because, Charlotte, they're in a better position. They're, playing more meaningful games. I felt like that was something that worked in his favor. Then looking at the numbers, I'm like, Cooper Flagg has a higher usage rate. His points, rebounds, assists, all that are, better than Con Knuppel. His role with Dallas right now is he's the man. He's the ball handler. He's the create his own shot. He has to do all that. Knuppel has other talent around him that helps him kind of be who he is. Where Knuppel does kind of tower over Cooper Flagg is win shares, if you care about that stat. Con Knuppel has like an 8 win share. Cooper has, I think, a 3. So I guess if the voters really care about that, then maybe it is Con Knuppel. I think it's gonna be Cooper Flagg. I don't know. I feel like this late little run he's having with like the 40-point game and stuff like that, I feel like that's gonna sway some people. I wouldn't be mad if Knuppel won it. I'm kind of siding with Cooper Flagg now.
I feel like I feel like I would dislike it if that was the reason. Look, I think Cooper Flags had a great year,
Mm-hmm.
but I also feel like you probably shouldn't just sway your entire vote based on what happens in the final like 5 games of the season.
That's fair. I agree.
So like I get that, Cooper Flags going, nuclear these last couple games. Really impressive stuff. Good for him. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's still close. I could very well sway the voters, but like I said, I feel like that at the end of the day, like I said, this is going to be Khan's award to lose. But hey, you know what? Cooper Flag definitely still has a chance to win it. These last couple games definitely are going to help him a ton.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I wouldn't hate if either one won it. I think it would be a great story if Con Knoble could win it because he's definitely helped transform a Charlotte team that basically is a lot of the same guys from last year, minus him and the new coach. And you've seen such a drastic improvement in the standings. So he probably should get a lot of credit for that. Whereas Dallas, their season's been over for a little bit now. But looking at that, let's go to MVP because MVP is another award that I think I don't know, highly contested. The Vegas influence is definitely you know pushed it to like a two-man race. It basically seems like it's down to Wemby or SGA. I guess that's where we're at. Is that what you think, or do you think there's somebody else who probably should win the award?
I feel like it should be a 3-person race as long as, Jokic
Oh
qualifies.
no.
I feel like he's got to be in there too. I no, I think it's a 3-person race at this point, but I feel like SGA has definitely distanced himself, and so has Wemby. It's still close, but I feel I would personally still go SGA. That's just me. I love seeing Wemby's defense impact gets recognized.
Mhm.
I always dislike the politicking aspect of it, where Wemby's pretty much third or fourth in MVP voting all year, and then he goes like, "Hey guys, my defense is really good. That's why it should be MVP. This really good two-way player." And then the voters are like, "Yeah, you know what? You're right. You are a good two-way player. Let me put you at number one." I'm like, dude, like, have you not been watching Wemby the whole year? He's always been this uber impactful two-way player, but now you're just noticing it because he said something.
Mhm.
So it's weird in the sense that I think Wemby is a deserving MVP candidate, and I won't be mad if he wins. I love that for him. First MVP is always a good one. That being said, man, I'm not gonna lie, it kind of annoyed me that all of a sudden everybody flipped their votes all because Wemby just started, talking during that press conference. Like, come on. Like I said, if you didn't know that, like what he said was true already, then why are you voting on basketball awards?
Yeah. Look, and my biggest thing, and I've been trying to figure this out for a few weeks now. It's are we making it the best player valuable? How do you look at value? All of that. Because I'm just gonna say, for my guy Jalen Brown, and I heard this argument on was it the arena, whatever it's called. I thought it was maybe the dumbest argument I'd ever heard, but what are we gonna expect from Rashawn McCants and Skip? I want to get your thoughts on this point of view. So Skip basically said that the minute Jason Tatum stepped on the court, that killed any chance Jalen Brown's going to get for winning MVP. And then Rashawn McCants was like, his numbers dipped since Jason Tatum came back, so he can't be MVP. Nick Young, who, if I'm siding with Nick Young, I don't know what timeline we're in. Nick Young was just like, how does that make any sense? Because he's still playing at an elite level. His numbers, I think his scoring's dipped like half a point. It's not even anything drastic like that. So do you think it is valid that seemingly Jalen Brown just keeps sliding further and further away? And according to Skip, it's because Tatum came back. I don't get that
I
point, but that's what he's saying.
I have a different take though and point on how he keeps slipping back in the MVP race. And I think it's as simple as this. He is never that serious of a candidate. Do I think Jaylen Brown deserves to be in the top 10 MVP vote? Yes. When I basketball reference the 2026
Mm-hmm.
MVP race like 10 years from now, I should see Jaylen Brown's name in that top 10. But I don't think Jaylen Brown was ever a serious candidate to actually win the award. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Very good year. Definitely deserves to get some, stray votes. But, like, let's say he never had a case over SGA, never really had a case over Wemby. Doesn't really have a great case over someone like, Cade Cunningham, who's obviously probably not going to qualify.
Mm-hmm.
The case doesn't beat out Luka either. Like, once we start getting, like, I think he's like the fifth or sixth best MVP candidate, but I
Mm-hmm.
think that's the real answer that people are like trying to dodge around. I think with JB, like, great year, respect to what you've done, but just never seriously was an MVP candidate. It's almost like they were looking for an alternative because the usual names started to get boring. So JB's having a great year. Let's throw his name in there, even though at the end, I don't think it really ever was going to stick. But hey, shout out to JB, man. Great year so far.
Yeah. I mean, look, I didn't think he was going to win it because I had Cade ahead of him because of Detroit, the fact that they were the number one seed in the East, and it's clearly because of Cade. And he was doing so much for that team. We talk about their roster all the time. Who's that secondary scorer, everything like that. But the part of it with the skip part that I was just trying to figure out was if Tatum impacts Jaylen Brown's candidacy, could I make the argument that SGA's candidacy should be affected by the fact that they were favorites coming in, they're favorites now, and he's missed time, and they still maintain that number one spot? I feel like you could do this with almost any candidate if you wanted to. Wemby, I don't know, because Wemby, the Spurs are just so much better than they were last year, and it's clearly like in correlation of him taking a step up. I would be fine if Wemby won MVP. Like, I would understand that, but it's like SGA, okay. Um, Jokic, I think Jokic. Look, any year that Jokic plays, he's gonna be up there because we see how much he impacts what Denver does. So I don't have any issues with him. I just found it weird that the minute SGA came back from injury, he was automatically vaulted as the favorite with no problem. And for Jaylen Brown, it's like they were projected to win, I think 42 games this year. Everybody said he couldn't do it without Tatum. He had them as a second seed. They lose Porzingis, Holiday, Horford, Cornet, all these guys, replace them with people that most people didn't think were going to be any good. Garza, Minot, and these guys. And the one thing you could look at is Jaylen Brown is having a career year across the board. So, like I said, I didn't think he was going to actually ever win the award. I do think it's a little weird that now people are talking about that Tatum coming back for 12 games now means he's not MVP level. Which that part of it I just don't understand. I agree with you. He's not going to win it. I was fully prepared for him to not to win it. I do think he should get some recognition for what's going on in Boston. Like, if he finishes top 5, I don't care. I will happily take that. It's like people are now acting like he's not an MVP because Tatum, who's the real best player on the team, is now back.
The argument of, well, he has blank has always been so stupid. Like, I mean, normally you're really good, superstar players normally have a running mate with them.
Mm-hmm.
It's been true till the end of time. Like,
Yep.
It is what it is.
Hey, Jory.
Also, the no teammates argument. Like, do they just want us to give it to whoever has the highest net rating at the end of the year?
Yeah.
Like, should I already sound the horn? Zach Edey MVP is already locked up. Like, runner-up Alex Caruso. We
Mhm.
got guys like Alondis Williams that are top 5 in net rating. Like, that's kind of the annoying part because they don't take into context
Yeah.
of, well, he has Tatum. Yeah, well, for most of the year he didn't,
Mhm.
and he kept it together. Like, said JB definitely deserves the respect that you know he deserves in it. This year, he's done a hell of a job
Mhm.
helping keep the Celtics afloat. Shout out to him and the GOAT, Nemus Keita.
Yeah. Who Jalen
Always
Brown
got to.
saying Kata should win Most Improved, which hey, give my
It,
give my guy Kata some love.
it
I do.
should be either him or Ryan Rollins.
Yeah.
I don't need any of this. Well, this first rounder's taking the leap that we expected him not. Bring back my most improved for actual guys who are most improved.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
I love what guys like Jalen Duren are doing, but when you're drafted in the lottery, that isn't that
Like a
kind
guy
of
from the
the
lottery.
isn't that kind of the career projection you were projected to take? Granted, his leaps have been impressive, but as I
Yeah.
said, give my guy Ryan Rollins credit in this race is all I'm asking.
Right. Yeah, I feel like that's kind of the main thing. Like sometimes it seems like with some of the awards they try to take the route of least resistance where it's like you can have some of these nuanced conversations to really dissect who should win these awards. And look, I'm going to say it now between Jalen Brown, who I don't think is going to happen, Joe Mazzulla, and Brad Stevens. One of them's got to win some award. I feel like Brad Stevens might be the lock for Executive of the Year, but who knows? I know my guy Mazzulla's a psycho, but he's done a great coaching job, which transitioning to the Coach of the Year race. I think it's another race that's kind of interesting. There's a lot of guys that you could make serious, probably reasons for them winning. Who would you give Coach of the Year to right now?
Who would I?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think this is a two-person race, and I don't think I think any answer outside of these two names are wrong. I do think one of the guys is Joe Mazzulla, Boston
Mm-hmm.
Celtics, but I think the real winner of this award is going to be JB Bickerstaff
Okay.
of the Detroit Pistons. So when you can take the leap that they did, and not only that, navigate the I don't know turmoil that was going on mid-season 2 with whatever was going on with Jaden Ivey before his trade and
Mm-hmm.
release. So overall, JB has done such a masterful job that I genuinely think that when it comes to Coach of the Year, it's going to be Bickerstaff, but I do think the only right answer for second place is Mazzulla.
Yeah. And look, Bickerstaff has helped navigate the Cade absence, and they have held on to the number one spot. I have a couple of names I'm going to throw at you, and you kind of give me your initial thoughts of their candidacy. How about Charles Lee with the Hornets? The Hornets right now are beating their projections from early in the season by 19 games. They opened up as 24 and a half was their over under. They're a 43 win team right now.
Charles Lee's my number 3. I
He's
think
mine
number
as well.
3. I think number 3 and 4 come down to two guys again. I think there's a top 4. There's a clear top 4, but 1 and 2 are pretty set stone. I think 3 or 4. I think 3 is Charles Lee, and number 4 is Mitch Johnson of the San Antonio Spurs.
Okay.
Even though you have Wemby, that still is an incredible leap that you guys took. But yeah, say with the job that Charles Lee has come in, and he got to point where there were talks of if he was going to survive after this year. And he, with the turnaround, especially since midseason, has been truly incredible. So,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, personally, I got Bickerstaff, Mazzulla, Charles Lee, Mitch Johnson is my top 4 for Coach of the Year. And if I want to throw in a fifth name, I think A fifth name is tough. Like if I had to round out my top five, would I want to go with the Phoenix Suns or not? Because that man's done a terrific job. But Quinn Snyder has also done a terrific job in Utah. I mean, not Utah, Atlanta as well. So
Mm-hmm.
I think I would probably round it out with Quinn Snyder. No, you know what? I'm going to round it out with Jordan and then Quinn Snyder. But I also don't think those two are wrong either. So yeah, but yeah, hey, it's a great race for Coach of the Year. A lot of deserving guys for sure.
Okay. I have two other names I want to throw at you. This one's kind of probably way out of left field. Tiago Splitter with Portland. Portland seems like they're going to finish above 500. It's been a few years since they've done that. You talked about turmoil that they dealt with Detroit dealt with Jaden Ivey. Splitter had to come in and relieve Chauncey Billups, who's going through his own turmoil off the court. And Portland was a team that I think has quietly started playing better basketball now. I don't expect them to do anything in the playoffs or anything like that, but I guess can he get some credit? Obviously not to win it, but I feel like he should get maybe some votes for the job that he's done with that group.
Absolutely. He definitely deserves some votes for that job he's done. Say between him and say just that team in general has been fantastic this year. So I definitely think that Tiago deserves to get some votes.
Okay. And then the other name I was going to throw at you, because Jory was here, or probably still in here, JJ Redick. Obviously, probably doesn't win it because you mentioned some other uh, coaching situations that have been a little bit different. He's had to navigate a lot of pressure with the Lakers job, the pressure that we know LeBron can kind of bring, the I guess making it work with Luka, LeBron, and Reeves. You know, we hear all the analytics about how the three of them together are unplayable. They are a top four seed in the West right now. I know Denver's breathing down their neck, but they're probably going to finish at least fourth. I guess what chance do you give him? Where does he kind of fall in uh, with the coaches and the jobs that they've done this year?
I think he's done it. I think JJ is one of the more underrated coaches in the league at this point, right? And it's
Mm-hmm.
weird to say that, but it's a guy that's taken the Lakers from back to back 50, win seasons. And this is a team where a lot of people like to spend all their time talking about their flaws, and this is a very flawed team. And yet JJ always finds a way. So I do think JJ Redick will be a future coach of the year winner. He's been
Okay.
absolutely terrific for the Lakers. So I think he's right up in there in that conversation. Him and Tiago both have done an excellent job so far.
Okay. Yeah, I like I said, I just want to bring those two up. I feel like I actually wonder how many people know Splitter is actually the coach in Portland. Portland's not a team, especially if you're living on the East Coast, that you necessarily watch a lot of. They're not on TV a lot, but they are going to be in the play-in. So if you could imagine the Trailblazers somehow find a way out of the play-in, that could be, I guess, really good for their rebuild and everything like that. I agree. You know, JJ catches a lot of heat. Some of that is because of the profile of the job that he has. You know, when we think about Laker coach, not to equate the two, so Jory, don't get at me with this one, but like starting quarterback for the Cowboys, there's always a lot of pressure that comes with that because the star and everything. Redick being the Lakers coach and with LeBron on the team, that's a lot of pressure as well. And I agree. I feel like he's done really well. You know, he showed some inexperience last season, obviously, with his first year, but he seems like he's kind of found his groove this year. And I don't know, we'll see kind of what happens probably beyond LeBron if this is his last season with the Lakers. I don't know. I think I kind of agree with you that JJ probably wins one in the future. long as my guy Psycho Joe gets one at some point too. Because even looking at their offense, like we know the Celtics are for three after three after three. They're actually taking a lot more mid-range shots this year than they have in years past, and I feel like some of that is probably Mazzulla recognizing some of the talent on the team and how they can kind of attack that area. Jaylen Brown says it's kind of his influence. I follow him on TikTok. He's actually pretty interesting when you like watch him, but because he talked about when he first started taking mid-range shots, they told him, no, we do threes here. But now it's like he takes a lot of mid-range shots. Pritchard takes a lot of them. Shireman and guys like that. I feel like some of that's got to be Mazzulla kind of changing up his philosophy a little bit. But okay. Yeah, I don't think I had any other coaches to talk about. But since you are obviously a Bucks fan, I had to get your thoughts on the Giannis needing couples therapy with the team, as he put it. Doc maybe moving upstairs. Like, what do you make of all the Bucks news recently?
You know what the funny answer to that is? I don't care. Right? Okay. It's one of those things where it's more annoying right now than anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, honestly, I've been tired of Glenn since we hired the fucker. I've made my disdain for that, signing very clear, right from the day he got signed, and everybody decided to ask, how are you feeling? So I just sent back a picture of my margarita I was drinking. That's how I was feeling, because I knew it was going to be a rough one. And this whole, like, Giannis and Bucks thing has been going on for so long. I'm just like, it's like when that toxic couple that's together, and you're just like, dude, just pick a lane, either stay together, split apart. Now, Giannis has made it very clear he's going to finish out the season here.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet, awesome, love that for him. This offseason, maybe he gets traded. If he does, first game back, I'll make sure to buy a ticket so I can give him a standing ovation when he comes back. Okay. But that being said, this whole like little squabble, it's like, I just hope they resolve it, sooner rather than later, and then make a decision sooner rather than later, because I cannot spend a whole offseason listening to scams talk his stuff like, oh, see, I told him he was going to get traded, and I'll be like, yeah, buddy, I said that when we traded for Kuzma at the deadline last year. You're not special. You're not slick.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something. It's one of those things about the drama between Giannis and the Bucks. At this point, I'm just like, dude, just kiss and make up, or just go your separate way. Whatever you want to do, just resolve it soon. We'll know by October what Giannis is doing. I'm guessing sooner than that, but I think it's in October we can offer him that extension, and I think it's going to be very clear whether he's going to be here long term or not once that offer sheet goes out. But Supermax, a lot of money to turn down.
Yeah. Okay, so a couple follow-ups. One, if Glenn moves to the front office, do you call him Doc again?
Ooh, no.
Okay.
He has to do something smart. Like, he has to do something to help the franchise before we start calling him that again.
That's fair. Second, do you go into the coaching search with Giannis's input, hoping that is what keeps him around?
Yeah, I think you might as well get Giannis's input, right? That being said, I think something to learn from last coaching cycle is let John Horst cook. Well, let him pick his own guy. Apparently, Horst was thinking Atkinson, but of course, management and Giannis, I think it was more Giannis wanted Griffin. So I think the big thing here too is you should get Giannis's influence, but obviously say don't let Giannis be the final decision. Obviously, let him be a big part of the decision, but he can't make the final decision. Like at the end of the day, let let Horst do his job.
Okay. And the final one, as a Bucks fan, and understanding, like you said, the Supermax offers should be there. I think would be uh, quite a swerve if the Bucks were like, "Oh, we're not going to offer it. We're going to let you go." So if they do that, Glenn goes to the front office and relinquishes the coaching duties. Do you feel better or worse that Giannis is still in Milwaukee for the foreseeable future?
I feel it made me feel pretty good. I think obviously what's going to sway Giannis more is see what moves we can pull out, see where the ping pong balls put us in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
So thankfully we should get a top 10 pick. I'm assuming.
Okay.
So like I said, that Horst. One thing that give Horst credit for is he's always willing to make a move. Even when he has limited assets, he'll find a way,
Mm-hmm.
even if it's something crazy like stretching Damian and waiving Dame. So overall, I'm excited to see what this offseason has in store for the Bucks. And look, if I've given Horst a lot of crap over the years,
Mm-hmm.
mainly he's a weird GM in the sense that he misses on a lot of the major moves since the Drew Holiday trade, but he nails a lot of the margin ones.
Mm-hmm.
So unfortunately, health hasn't really lined up for him. But like I said, I'll give him credit. If there's one thing I know that Horst is going to do this offseason, he's if Giannis is going to go out, he's going to at least going to make sure the Bucks go out swinging and do everything he can to keep him. So, like I said, I've had my frustrations with Horst, but honestly, at least I know he's gonna put in an effort this summer. That's for sure.
And look, paying him to be a GM, that's probably what you want as a fan, to know that he's at least trying everything he can to improve the team. I mean, I kind of agree. I feel like a lot of this back and forth is probably going to lead to Giannis staying. And maybe I'm foolish to kind of read into Giannis because we know Giannis has a lot of, trickster in him. But I thought it was interesting that he said, even during the whole thing about he wants to play the teams holding him out, the fact that he did say that they need couples therapy made me think he does want to stay, and he's hoping, I guess, whoever he has an issue with, they can actually talk it out. Like if he had said, "I want to play, they're not going to have me play. I'm done with Milwaukee," obviously we'd be like, "Well, he's probably going to leave." Couples therapy makes it seem like it's not like it's broken beyond belief, the relationship that's there. So I kind of agree with you. I think there's a better chance he probably ends up staying after all of this.
I mean, he said that he wants to stay, and the thing with Giannis is he's been pretty blunt with us the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I think he does want to stay, but now it's just up to the Bucks. Like, okay, now give him a reason to stay because his current iteration of the team, there's really no reason for him to stay. So we'll have to see what Horst and company have up their sleeve to convince him.
Yeah. All right. I think one last thing before we move to the NFL really quickly. I think I've seen, or like in Discord, seen like posts about some of the names being thrown out there for the Vegas basketball team. I don't know if you've seen any of them, but
The
I guess
gamblers.
what are your thoughts on some of the names that are thrown out there? Like we're hearing, people talking about like the Rattlers, Hustlers, Bandits, Gamblers. Yeah. What do you think about the name? What do you think the name should be? Because obviously you can't go with a name that's like strictly betting because that's whatever. So I feel like Gamblers is probably out, probably. But like, what's a team name you would like to see for the Vegas team?
I feel like they'll end up going with like the Bandits or something like that. Something just simple. Gamblers might be all right. They haven't shied away from any betting stuff before, and at this point, so it'll be interesting. Like I said, I personally wouldn't mind the Gamblers. I think that sounds pretty dope. So yeah, so I'll put my money on the Gamblers. I like the way that sounds.
Okay. I feel like I'd probably go Bandits, maybe. I mean Rattlers, because I know like rattlesnakes, the deserts of Vegas. I get it, but I don't know. That sounds like a UFL kind of name. No shot at the UFL, but yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see what they do come up with. Let's hope they don't do a Las Vegas basketball team until they find an actual name. We know the NBA doesn't normally do that, but I hated when Washington did that Washington football team before they came up with an actual name. Let's see here.
The Las Vegas basketball team. There we go.
That would be horrible. Also, it's funny you brought up Shams because since Shams is so tapped into basketball and everything, I was interested that Taylor Rooks is the one who broke the Angel Reese trade. Somewhere Shams was kicking himself.
He's so tapped in. He missed out on every big trade possible at the deadline. Yeah, he's more tapped in than you and I guess. But at the same time, like, I'm glad to see it. It feels like the biggest problem with Shams is he big game hunts too hard. Like with Woj, he would just have the most normal feed and then casually drop a Woj bomb and catch you off guard and then keep it moving.
Mm-hmm.
Like Shams just tries too hard to push narratives and push guys here and there. Like, dude, just let it. It's just annoying. Like, just kind of do what Woj did. Let everything come to you instead of trying to force a story or force a trade that's just not going to materialize anytime soon.
Right. Let's see. Oh, yeah, I did want to ask this. Okay. So the top four in the East, Detroit, Boston, New York, and Cleveland, have all clinched. Atlanta has a 2-game lead on Philly. I'm going to assume Atlanta's going to be the 5 seed. Who gets the 6 seed out of the Sixers, Raptors, Hornets? I guess we'll throw Magic in there. Well, actually, the Heat, because the Heat are only 2 games behind the Sixers. But who out of that group do you think ends up as the 6th seed at the end of the season?
I'll go the Hornets.
Okay.
I think the Magic kind of hurt themselves too badly by getting decimated by the Raptors.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure though. I believe in I think Toronto would hold the tiebreaker over Orlando. I'm not sure, but genuinely, I just think right now the hottest team in the league is the Hornets. So I think the Hornets just close out strong and they come out as a 6 seed, which, hey, that'd be fun.
Yeah, because if that does happen, we'd be in line for Knicks Hornets in the first round.
Say Cavs, Hawks, Knicks, Hornets. Ooh,
yeah,
that'd be a really fun first round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
Say be 76ers, Raptors, Magic, and Heat in the play-in. All right. Yeah, sure, I guess.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe get Sixers, Celtics first round. Sixers get to face that team that keeps knocking them out.
Yeah, I'm guessing you guys knock them out in 5 for sure. Well, I don't know. Say PG
depends on the health of, I guess, Joel Embiid once again.
Well, I don't know, man. I don't know if PG went to see Bronze Guy over in Germany because they might need to drug test him again. He's looked fantastic since coming back.
Yeah. I don't know. It'd be interesting. I do think it'd be a little hard for me to pick against, obviously, my team, but I do think this version of Tatum, even though he's coming back from injury, is probably the best version of him where he's giving you, 22 to 25 a night, like 11 to 14 boards, and like, 7 assists. I think that version of Tatum makes the Celtics a lot more dangerous. Plus, obviously, Brown doing his thing, but Shireman's played really well. Our guy Kata has played phenomenally down low. So I think we're be in for some interesting matchups in the East.
Yeah, hey, and bright future for another team in the East. The Bulls have finally gotten rid of their whole management team and AK, and it's so weird. What are the odds that, of all people, Jaden Ivey was the final straw for them?
Right. Like all this time we talked about, their core. I guess we'll say Vucevic, DeRozan, Levine. How many years we were like, gotta get off of that? They finally did. The front office was still there, but yeah, seems like Ivy was what cost them their jobs, which fine. And then out west, only spot that's left is the 6th seed, which I mean the Timberwolves have a 3-game lead on the Suns, so we'll kind of assume that the Timberwolves win that. But of the top 6, Thunder, Spurs, Lakers, Nuggets, Rockets, and the Wolves. I guess we'll take the Lakers out because of the injury to Luka. We'll have to see what Luka looks like. Is it not obvious that the Rockets are probably the shakiest team out of that group?
Oh yeah, for sure. Say Rockets are let's see, they're the 5 seed right now, and no,
they would have the Nuggets in the first round right now.
Oh, they get blasted by Denver right now, so they better hope like they run into a matchup with like the Lakers. But even then, I'm probably still taking. Oh, it's funny. Pre-Luke injury, I would have taken the Lakers in 5, and that's really being nice. They probably would have just straight up swept them. But no Luka. I'm still taking them, but I feel like the number just went from like 5 to 6. So I just don't look at the West and see a matchup where I'm going, yeah, Houston's got this one. So I don't know. It feels like the Rockets are like the most obvious first round exit staring in plain sight.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. All right, so the last topic before we get out of here, I want to talk about this Lamar Jackson story that, for whatever reason, is a story. I was like watching Get Up. They came back from break. It was like developing story. I was like, oh, this has got to be a good thing. Lamar Jackson showed up to voluntary workouts. I was like, okay, great. You have a new coaching staff. He's the leader of the team. Shouldn't he just show up for voluntary workouts just as a sign to the team as a leader? Like, hey, I'm here. You guys need to be here. Don't know why it was a big story, but it apparently is.
Slow news day.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's basically what they were telling us. Like, we got nothing else. We're on Lamar watch to see if he shows up. And I know, the team wants to negotiate a new contract. They did the restructuring, but I guess they want to negotiate like a long-term deal. Lamar obviously represents himself. So I guess that part is why they're so interested in him showing up for voluntary workouts. But when you look at, I guess, the NFL, they do call them voluntary. I guess, isn't it just the mindset that just for team building and just for getting the accustomed work in with the guys, that if you're really serious about winning, like, shouldn't you just show up to voluntary workouts anyway?
I feel like the leading network in sports shouldn't be stupid too. Like, don't jump the gun on this. The reason they had to do that was like literally 5 minutes before the Ravens posted that, hey, here's Lamar. We had Dan Orvolansky on the show going in on Lamar for missing one voluntary training camps. He didn't even need to show up. But the answer is, yeah, new coaching staff, new members, of the offense. Like, you probably should just go to this voluntary training camp, even if it's quick. Hey, hi, nice to meet you. Try to get some sense of rhythm with the team, even if you don't do too much physically. But no, that was so stupid because it's like, yeah, breaking news, Lamar's at camp. I'm like, It's voluntary training camp. Who really cares? Like,
Yeah.
great, it's exactly where you should be in all reality with the new
Mhm.
coaching staff. But like, I also just feel like ESPN one, that's not breaking news. Who cares? Two, don't jump the gun on stuff like saying that Lamar's not at camp when he's literally at camp.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just crazy. I guess the very last thing. Did you see the UConn South Carolina game?
UConn, South Carolina? I actually did not. I was working.
Okay.
I haven't gotten
Did
back to
you at
watching
least
it
see
yet.
like I guess the highlight because Sports Center was all over it with Gino and Don.
I have not yet.
Okay, so I'll tell you. Like, so we know that Gino he's got a lot of old grumpy man in him. Before the game, this is the account, I guess, according to Don Staley and others. Like, Don Staley met with the UConn coaching staff, said, "Hey, what's up? What's going on?" Then there's like a part where the cameras catch, where the coaches are supposed to come together before like the starting lineups are announced. Dawn didn't show up. She was on her bench. Gino's just standing there waiting for her. She never showed up. Gino's also getting mad during the game because he feels like the refs are against him. He did the little between quarter interview. He dropped a F bomb because he was that upset with, I think it was 6 fouls in the quarter, and all 6 were on UConn. So then after the game, after they have lost, he meets center court with Don Staley and says something to her, and she just completely goes off the handle. It turned out Gino still never got over the fact that they didn't meet for the handshake before the game. It decided at that point was the right time to tell Don about it. Now he did apologize after, but a lot of people are going after Gino because the apology doesn't actually name Don Staley. He said he was sorry for his actions, blah blah blah, but he never said like sorry to Don Staley. Do you have an issue with that? Do you have an issue with, I guess, him blowing up
I
over a simple handshake that didn't happen?
He's nicer than me because I wouldn't even have apologized.
Okay.
Look, here's the thing. Even even if even if you don't, really want to do it, at least from my understanding, just the way you broke it down right there, it's a
Disagree.
respect thing. Like, it's a
And like
respect
I may
thing.
have described it in the like because I like watching the game, I thought he clearly was out of line only because you knew he was upset with the way that the game went, and that he channeled that frustration to her into the whole handshake thing. Because like if you watch the game, you'll notice like South Carolina was very physical with UConn. They challenged UConn based off of that, and UConn just didn't have any answers for them. So most of the game, you see Gino on the sideline just losing his mind over non-calls. But that's kind of the way they allowed the game to be for South Carolina, and they just never adjusted to South Carolina's physicality.
Yeah, but you don't big league somebody and leave them standing mid court when you know you're expected there. Like
And
I
Dawn
get
said
it.
she did all that before then. I
Say
it's a whole it's a whole thing.
it's a whole thing. At the end of the day, like, do you need to blow up at after the game? Probably not.
Mm-hmm.
It depends exactly what was said. But honestly, to me, I get it. If I was a coach and you disrespected me by just leaving me hanging at mid court like that, yeah, I'd probably have some words for you after the game too. So it's one of those things where I get it. Like, I get him being upset over it. So,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, to me, at least from my perspective, when you big league somebody like that and you disrespect them, you just expect a response, and then you can't play victim once you expect a response. That being said, I don't really know all that was said, so
Sure. Yeah.
I'll have to look into it more and get back with more details on and one.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't help Gino's case that like his assistant coach was pulling him away and making it seem like no, don't do that here. But I was going to read Angel Reese MVP in Atlanta. Hey, If she wins one in Atlanta, I'm sure Dream fans would be wildly excited for that. So I'm guessing, Reed, you like the move to Atlanta for Angel Reese. Uh, that's kind of all I had for you. You know, hours up already. Definitely fun talking to you once again, Brett. I guess anything you want to add before we get out of here?
Yeah, make sure to tune in to Meaty Boys podcast shortly after this. We're going to be discussing things, including the very controversial decision to add Pat McAfee into the Randy Orton Cody Rhodes feud. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. So we'll say hopefully see you soon.
Didn't Pat McAfee like leave for a little bit?
Yeah, and then he came back. They had Randy Orton talk. They had this whole thing where Randy Orton was on the phone and it was like a mystery guy. And then like on Wednesday they teased like, yeah, he'll be in St. Louis on Friday. You know, wrestling has more than one royal family, so you're like, oh, maybe this is like Triple H. Well, some people said The Rock. Maybe it's somebody like Ted DiBiase, who obviously had history with both Cody and Randy, and just got previously cleared of, you know, the fraud stuff in, you know, Missouri. And then it was just Pat McAfee in the most confusing plot twist of all time.
Okay. Okay. I know people, I guess, liked McAfee's energy. I know he stepped into the ring a few times. I guess we'll see what they do with that. So if you are a wrestling fan, make sure you do tune in a little bit to Brett and Mo, Meaty Boys, where they'll discuss all of that. I guess as for me, I'll be back on here Friday with Jory and Key, where we will kind of talk about Angel Reese a little bit more. We'll talk some NBA as well over there and some NFL. So make sure you're back to see me Friday with Jory and Key, Passion and Precision, Friday night. So for myself, not guarding the 2, guarding the 3, Brett, we're going to get out of here. Make sure you check out the other shows here on the network. Make sure you give the network a like, follow, subscribe, depending on the platform you're watching. And until next week, we're out of here. We'll see you later. Enjoy the rest of your week. We're gone. Bye.